This is the 2025 Mercedes-Maybach GLS600, and it's one of the most advanced SUVs that Mercedes has ever brought to market. And you know the saying, when the Maybach is rocking, don't come a-knocking. Seatbelt on, this is exactly where you want to be, and that's the second row of the Maybach 600, and that's because it's all about creating that executive high level of luxury experience, and they've accomplished it, right? So what do I mean by that? Like, there's luxury in cars, but then there's a Maybach, or as some like to say, Maybach. This is the pinnacle of luxury, and if you think about Mercedes as a whole, right? You've got a standard Mercedes GLS. That's just their SUV, right? Then you have an AMG GLS, which is kind of like that fire-breathing dragon, pavement-pounding, full-on performance vehicle where you have the F1-inspired buttons on the steering wheel. Thing is blistering fast, looks aggressive. Then you have this, which is a combination of the standard GLS and the AMG, bringing it all together, and that's the 600 with the Maybach logo on it. So what does all of that mean? Well, it means a ton of luxury, and the focus of the vehicle goes from the AMG, which is all about the driving experience, to the Maybach, which is all about the executive luxury second row experience. So here's what you get, and we'll take off here in a minute. Got to do it while we're driving because that's the whole concept, right? Creating this amazing cabin that is packed full of luxury. So let me start on the side door over here, and once I get comfortable, then we'll take off. So on your side panel of the door over here, you've got 3 buttons on top. Heated and ventilated seats, totally get it, standard protocol, every vehicle. But then this button in front of it, when you hit it, it illuminates red. That gives me full control of the passenger seat in front of me. I can move it forward, I can move it backwards. So here I'm moving it backwards, I can move it forward, and I can give myself as much room as I need because of then moving back over to the button over here, I've got a lay flat. Now, the lay flat, to be perfectly honest, is not going to be meant for somebody that's taller than, say, 5'8". You're not going to have that kind of space in here, but seat moves back, the recliner pulls up, and that seat goes forward, and it really gives you this great luxury experience. Now, as I noted, 6'3", my feet are up against the back end of this chair, but if you're a little bit shorter in stature, this thing is going to be fantastic for you. So you've got that button over here. If I want to go back to my full driving, as they say on an airplane, ladies and gentlemen, please stow your seats, put your chair back in its forward position. That's what we can do with this button right here. It's going to move everything forward. Now, I know for me, I want this thing to be a little bit more personalized because of my height. So I can stop this as it's coming back. I'm going to let the recliner go down. Once the recliner goes down, hit the button again. This is cool. I've got my manual 1 mode. So I can set it to where whenever I get in the car, I just hit the 1 button, the seat's going to push forward, and this is going to be in the recline position that I want it to be. Before I move away from the side over here, I want to point out a couple more things as well. You've got 27 Burmester speakers on the inside of this vehicle, 1 on each door, but then you also have them between the front passengers, occupants in the second row, and then I've got speakers behind me. So think about that, 27 speakers, but the speakers are focused on providing the best sound to the second row occupants because this vehicle, for the most part, might be driven by a chauffeur. So I got a chauffeur for this one, James, aka Tracy. We'll share the inside joke on that sometime, at some point. But we're going to go ahead and take a little spin in this, kind of give you guys a feel and some visuals of what it's like sitting in the back of this vehicle. So again, it's all about creating that luxury experience, that first class feeling. So the seats feel good, they look good. This beautiful yacht blue leather is something I have never seen before, and I absolutely love it. Seats are double stitched, and as I noted on the side panel, noting it again, heated and cooled or ventilated seats, which I absolutely love. Now, when you're flying first class, baby, that only means one thing, right? You get your own infotainment system on the backs of both seats up here. You get a special tablet in the center console right here. It allows you to control your seats, energizing features on the inside, which is that comfort zone, right? I can create the sound, the tone, the smell, the feel on the inside. Massaging seats controlled from this as well, which I really like. And if I don't like the blue color on the inside, from the standpoint of the illuminated lights, I can change that color to anything I want. I think that's a really cool feature. All right, you guys ready for this? The highlight of them all. So if I pop this open right here, I've got my first class tray table, just like you'd find on an airplane. Swivel it around, close the center console. I like the fact that it's pointed and angled a little bit up here on the front, because if I want to put my laptop on here, it's going to be a little bit more forward facing. And are you ready for this? You're going to love this. Behind the Maybach logo is a secret compartment. This compartment will hold 2 champagne flutes, and you have a secret mini fridge for a couple bottles of your favorite bubbly. So if you want to talk about lifestyles of the rich and famous, talk about champagne and caviar dreams, it's going to be with this Maybach right here because of this. We're not going to talk about the quirk until we get to the cargo capacity, because you got a refrigerator mounted right here. But overall, the sense on the inside is this thing is packed with a lot of technology and a lot of luxury. So let's talk about the tech. You've got wireless induction right here on your center console. You've got 2 HDMI ports that will connect in here. So if you want to connect a Game Boy, Xbox, whatever it may be, you can do that, and it'll be piped right into your monitors in front. You've got your own air control unit, your climate control down here on the bottom with vents. By the way, I want to point that out as well. When you're expecting the best in luxury, that means the entire experience. If I count them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 on this side, and then 5, 6 vents total that are focused on the second row occupants. So when you break it all down, you just get a lot of great creature comforts, a lot of luxury, a lot of high-end features in the second row of this vehicle. And here's one really great fun fact. It's actually the windows on the inside of the GLS600. They are all infused with noise reduction technology, so that inside it's almost whisper quiet at high speeds on the freeway. You get no road noise because they have dampened everything on the inside of the vehicle to just give you that premium experience. And if you really want to lock the peasants out and not give them access to the vehicle, you've got sunshades as well. Seriously though, sunshades on both sides, which are fantastic, and the ability to control your moonroof from an easy one-touch button. So as we bring it to the front, boom, goes all the way. Look at that. Creating a nice dark cabin on the inside. Makes me want to start whispering. And I got my cool illuminated blue lights all around me as well. Look at the one running the top. Runs the top right where the moonroof is. But when you want to talk about a great experience, that's what they're giving you in the back of this vehicle. So let's talk about the suspension with the GLS600, because it is unlike anything you have ever experienced. So there are 6 different driving modes, and with those driving modes, you get a variety of different characteristics associated with a suspension. So let's start with this off the top. You got an air ride suspension, and then each one of those categories for driving dynamics come with their own set of steering inputs, transmission mapping, and then of course the suspension. Everyone knows this vehicle, and I referenced it at the very beginning to the bouncing Mercedes, bouncing Maybach. That's actually part of the off-road capabilities of this vehicle, and that it has to do with helping get yourself out of a sticky situation, meaning if you're stuck in sand or in mud. It's off-road recovery. So now that we have that aside, let's talk about what's going on here. So as far as the suspension goes, you have a variety of different options, if you will. Curve is another feature that I've never seen on a vehicle before, and that means the vehicle suspension will adapt and shift based on how you're driving on curves or in turning situations. You also have preemptive suspension, which is really cool technology, and what that means in essence is that the vehicle's radars and sensors and cameras and all of it together are watching what is in front of you, and they are looking to mitigate obstacles by softening the suspension. Again, remember, second row occupants, are the most important ones in this vehicle, meaning this is the chauffeured vehicle. So you want that suspension to be as soft as possible in any type of situation. It also has that 550 horsepower performance, which means you also have a dynamic mode where everything's going to stiffen up a little bit. So when you add it all together, you have a vehicle that is great on-road. It's competent off-road. We're not going to call it an off-roader, especially not with these massive wheels, but a competent off-roader, a vehicle that can get you out of a sticky situation, and then you add in all the other various driving dynamics, and you have, let's just say, a curated experience, meaning customized. However you want the suspension to be, however you want the vehicle to feel, you're going to get it with this. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of technology to talk about with this vehicle because it's a Mercedes, and Mercedes is synonymous with having great tech. So let's start with what I'm seeing here sitting in the cockpit. So first off, heads-up display. It's massive. The heads-up display has the navigation, it has the speed limit, it has my miles per hour. It even shows me my level 2 autonomous driving. So when I go into level 2, it'll illuminate in green. And then it has my directions with arrows in the bottom right corner. Really cool tech up here on the heads-up display. You have a good size infotainment screen on the inside. I love the ability to change up my instrument gauge cluster. That's always been one of my favorite features inside the Mercedes. I can change up the colors and I can change up the look and design. Something more vibrant, something more sporty, something more elegant, something more contemporary. They give you all of those options with the heads-up display. And something unique about Mercedes is that they've been partnering with NVIDIA for years. You know, a company that is known for making the best gaming console chips in the world, just display visual chips in the world. They're now putting them in vehicles like this. If we look at the aesthetics on the inside as well, you've got this beautiful great oak wood that runs across your dash. You've got lots of air conditioning on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 vents all in the front doing a variety of different things. So one really unique feature on the driver's side door panel, you obviously have your heated and ventilated seats, but then you have an additional button that does not exist on the passenger side. Well, it's a button that will actually allow you to control the front passenger seat. So if you are taking somebody, chauffeuring somebody out there on the open road, you can adjust your seat forward, which provides a really cool, easy way to make that adjustment quickly. Also along the door panel, you've got one of those Burmester speakers. It's a tweeter built into the side, cranking out the tunes. And it's also up on the door sill as well. So you have 2 speakers. Again, it's all about creating that luxury and customized experience. They're doing it with the speakers as well. All right, so we're gonna jump out. But before we do, I'm gonna give you my minor issue, engineering issue. I do not like these running boards. In fact, I think they're almost borderline dangerous, and I wanna show you why. Watch me get in and out. So as I'm sitting in the car and I'm getting ready to get out, look at this. I have to either step up, but most people don't. They try and step out. So you gotta come way out here to get outside of the vehicle. That's problematic. Now watch me get in the vehicle, right? Gotta wait for your pants to adjust. Okay, so I love the design. I think the design's cool, but if I wanna get inside this vehicle, come back around this side so you can see. So if I wanna get inside this vehicle, to get in, it's a long throw. So that means I'm getting in the vehicle, I'm walking into the vehicle like this. I don't know if that's really what Mercedes and Maybach was going for with that design. I do think, look at that. I mean, it's just like getting out is kind of a pain. I do think if you're a person that's getting chauffeured, it's kind of like a nice touch to have this big pad. You can see how the pad increases in size. It's just a much bigger pad, looks kind of cool and different. And it allows you to just kind of step in if you want to do that. So I think that's kind of cool. Let's swivel around to the front. We'll talk about some of the design. It's kind of funny. Normally we talk about the design is the very first thing with a car, but we're not doing it with this because the interior, it's where it's all at. But just stop and look. I mean, it's so cool the way that they have designed the front of this vehicle. There's just a lot that I love. And I mean, let's talk about throw it back. Look at that. You thought I was going to walk away and not talk about that, didn't you? So today, all the Mercedes logos are mounted on the hood, but they went back to the old school look with the old school look, like the old school Mercedes logo that's spring loaded. I think that's pretty freaking cool that they went back to the old school look. And I wasn't thinking about that during the week of test driving this vehicle, but that's exactly what this is. It takes you back to the old school time. I remember when kids used to steal these and make necklaces out of them. They really did. It was crazy, but man, that is awesome. So there's so much that I love about the front of this vehicle. I love, and I know a lot of brands, they try and separate, you know, especially with Mercedes, they want you to call it an AMG, not a Mercedes. But I love how they tie in the Maybach and the Mercedes name into this. Synonymous both with luxury, big bold front end. I love the vertical design on the grille. I think that's just kind of something cool and sets it out. And then look at these lights. Have you ever seen anything? These are like jewelry. They're so cool, almost like diamonds the way they have it designed. And then it says right here, you got to get in close, multi-beam LEDs. So these are LEDs right here. Just kind of cool the way that they have it laid out like that. And then did you notice it right there? Maybach logos built in down below. And as you make your way across the front, you've got a variety of sensors, cameras, all mounted on the front of this vehicle. But man, when I sit back and I look at this, I mean, it does scream, you know, luxury and opulence. You got 23-inch wheels on the side, just one big dish with the Pirelli P0s. I mean, I just think the way that this thing looks is pretty awesome. You know, when you see this wheel coming down the road, you know that this is a Maybach. It just screams big boy wheels on there. I don't know if I like them. Just being honest with you. I love the AMG style, right? I think that's, and I think you're hearing a theme. I love the AMG style. But again, if you're a person that's gonna own a yacht, you're gonna want something different, and that's what's gonna be different. Carry your way down the side. Monochromatic, you know, we're talking about that Côte d'Azur blue metallic on the side of this. Probably pronouncing that wrong. Côte d'Azur. Côte d'Azur. But I do love this color. This color is stunning. Monochromatic, right? Blue on blue on blue. No funky looking colors in there. Blue mixed in with here with a little bit of black. You know, you think about tires kicking up dirt. This is plastic. I love that. It's going to prevent them from getting damaged. You got your lane departure warning indicator and your camera mounted here on the side. You start making your way back. A little bit of subtle chrome, not too much, not too gaudy, not too in your face, with a roof rack that lines the whole entire top. You keep coming down. You look at the two different doors. You got a much bigger door here in the second row. Gives you a lot of room to get inside that vehicle. Carrying all the way down to the rear, same thing with the P0s on the back with that big dish, and then the specialty Maybach logo right here on the side. Again, just overall, it's got a good look, but the thing is when you step back and you look at it, you know what I'm seeing? GLS. It's just a little bit more bold and in your face. Cool look though. All right, so we make our way to the rear of the vehicle. Nothing really special other than having the Maybach logo on there. You know what it is. When you're pulling up behind it, kind of cool. You got the LED brake lights on the side. Not going to spend a lot of time there, but are going to talk about the cargo capacity of this vehicle. So, by the way, I love how that just automatically pops up with the rear deck lid. Oh, there's the refrigerator that I was talking about. So here's the scoop. It's actually an option. It's about $1,100. If you want to get it with the champagne flute holders, which I think are running about $600, you're $2,000 in. Which, given the fact that it's a refrigerator, isn't all that bad. But with that said, look how much you lose from a cargo capacity standpoint by going with the refrigerator in the back of this vehicle. And let's face it, how often are you really going to be using that refrigerator? Never, really. Unless you're going to the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show and you're checking out boats and somebody's driving you, and at the end of the day they want to give you a little something to drink. A little hideaway right here, just in the event that you need to get your tires off, deal with the vehicle, do a little inflation. You got some stuff in here to help you out. Cargo capacity standpoint, I do like the fact that it's all lined, giving you that luxury feel. Some rails on here to protect the carpet as well. A couple suitcases in there, and you're off to your next trip to Monaco. All right, so before we go, I want to break it down with my honest feedback, overview, and opinions of this vehicle right here. So, starting with the inside, I don't think I've ever been in a vehicle that's quite like this, with one exception, and that is what we just recently tested, which was the 2025 Mercedes AMG, and this is the S63, which is their four-door flagship sedan, right? Thing was beautiful, stunning on the inside, had the electric powertrain as well, so you had the gas and electric, gave it a ton of performance and horsepower. But if I compare apples to apples to apples, meaning GLS, GLS AMG, and the Maybach, you're going to be looking at a starting price around $78,000 for a standard GLS. You're going to be looking at a starting price about $150,000 for the AMG, and an MSRP starting at $178,000 for the Maybach version of that vehicle. So you have to ask yourself, do you want a high-end, top of the food chain, luxury SUV that has performance? Or do you want one that has the luxury? Or do you want one that has both? I think this has great performance. Don't get me wrong. 0 to 16, 4.7 seconds is awesome. But I would take the GLS AMG version of this vehicle, starting at that 150, topping out probably north of 200, because that thing has just got so much insane horsepower and performance that I really, really like. And that's something that I'm going to want in a vehicle. So I think it's all about what your personal preference is going to be. You can go with this, with the upscale luxury, with some of the performance, or you can go with all-out performance with the same type of luxury, maybe just not as in-depth as it is with this vehicle right here. And the other vehicles you'll compare in the category, the Bentley Bentayga, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, all vehicles that run north of $200,000. Maybe even toss a Urus in there if you wanted to go up against the AMG version. All of those vehicles have great luxury, insane performance, and massive price tags. So that leaves me with the last thing. Are you willing to spend $200,000 on this car right here? All right, we hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video as much as we've enjoyed putting it together. Please smash that subscribe button below so we can keep bringing you guys awesome videos like this one that you've just seen on this vehicle. And if you're not following our other social channels, please do. It's pretty easy. Everything's at Chasing Horsepower. Just go look for it and you'll find us.